Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, April 25th, 2017. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. As announced by Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Dr. Vat Registration during the 2017 budget presentation, Vincentians will, as of May 1st, see a 1% increase in the value-added tax rate, which will see the general rate of 15% moving up to 16%, while businesses in the hospitality sector will experience an increase from 10 to 11%. In an interview with SVG-TV earlier today, Comptroller of the Inland Revenue Department, Kelvin Pompey, said his department is working to ensure that consumers and business operators alike experience a smooth transition for the implementation of the 1% VAT increase. Nikita Tony tells us more in this report.
Vincentian consumers and business operators will, as of Monday, May 1st, experience a 1% increase in the value-added tax rate. And to this end, the Inland Revenue Department is aiming to ensure that the new tax measure is implemented without any issues by providing guidance to individuals and businesses, so to ensure that persons are ready for the rate increase and, most importantly, are in compliance. He noted that persons have been responding positively to the outreach strategy.
And so our teams have been working along with the individual businesses, and the response so far has been quite positive. Businesses who have individual items price, that is, there's a tag on each item on the shelf, it means that they would have to give themselves, I think, a bit more lead time in terms of preparing for the change, since these individual items would now have to be repriced and VAT inclusive price displayed on the shelf come May the 1st.
Pointing out that there will also be an increase in the Vat registration threshold from $120,000 per year to $300,000 per year, Pompey highlighted that the department has been looking at individual cases using the sale reports from over the past 5 years to finalize which businesses would be added or exempted from the VAT net list.
To be a VAT registrant, or to become a VAT registrant, a business would now have to be grossing in excess of $300,000. We recognize that there are businesses who may gross for 1 year at $200,000, but for the other year they may do a $400,000 also. So we have been looking at each case individually. We have been averaging the sales reported over the past 5 years, and we are now in a position to determine those who conclusively should be out of the VAT net.
As they continue their efforts to deal with practices which undermine the integrity of the VAT system, Pompey encouraged consumers to be vigilant in ensuring that their purchase is reflected on their receipts as of May 1st.
Consumers should be asking for a receipt and should scrutinize these receipts to ensure that the VAT that they paid are properly accounted for. We also have instances where persons are deducting VAT and not paying it into the department. And of course, this is one that we would be dealing with. However, I want to encourage businesses, as some have been doing, who may wish guidance up front, to contact the department. Our number is 714-93-728-75 or 66099.
With less than a week remaining before the 1% VAT increase is imposed, Vincentian consumers and business operators alike are being advised to comply with the new tax measure and to exercise vigilance while conducting business. Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
Opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday is emphasizing the need for this country's youth to have a sense of hope and direction. Dr. Friday, who spoke at the New Democratic Party's Youth Convention on Sunday at Langley Park, is of the view that the young people of this country are despondent. He said that they need tangible plans and projects to help them become inspired into taking positive steps towards a bright future.
And we have to strengthen our young people who will provide leaders in communities, in churches, in schools, on the block, so that the choices that young people make are good for them and good for our society as a whole. Because, you know, young people are about hope. The worst thing we can do as a nation the worst thing we can do concerning young people is to remove that hope. For hope, it motivates, it keeps you focused, it gives purpose to our every action, because it helps to ensure that those actions are aimed at achieving a good goal that we have set for ourselves. When hope is removed, then all of that is in jeopardy.
Additionally, featured speaker at the NDP's Youth Convention, Attorney Jamali John, made a strong call for leaders to be accountable. He noted that young people need persons to emulate and look up to, but believed that many leaders lack integrity.
I expect that our leaders will believe in integrity, transparency, and accountability, especially when they are raising taxes every year. You can't raise taxes every year and pretend that accountability is a bad thing. We should not be begging for information that they should willingly provide. And I don't expect people to criticize our journalists for reporting the facts, not opinions, the facts as they are. Too many of us are searching for a scapegoat so we can beat up on the journalists because we don't have the courage to put the criticism where it rightfully belongs. You can't have positive news in a negative country. If you want positive news, then do positive things.
The National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, is on an extensive educational drive to ensure that persons are more aware of what to do in the event of a tsunami. At one of the forums held today for business persons in the low-lying Kingston area, Deputy Director acting at the National Emergency Management Organization, Huldah Peters, outlined that SVG already has a draft tsunami warning protocol and standard operating procedures, which came into being in 2016. Peters noted that the initiative, which is part of the Tsunami Smart program, is funded by the European Union in conjunction with other agencies, such as the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, CDEMA, and Seismic Research Center.
At the national level, NEMO has a draft tsunami warning protocol and standard operating procedure. This was done in 2016, and it's just a set of standard operating procedures which outlines the essential responsibilities of St. Vincent and the Grenadines Tsunami Warning Focal Point to receive tsunami bulletin, to analyze the bulletin, to initiate action based on the analysis, and to alert and notify the national organizations in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the public. This tsunami warning protocol, it's reviewed almost every year when we participate in the annual Carib Wave exercise, which takes place in March.
Facilitator at today's forum, geologist Dr. Richard Robinson, credited this country with having a tsunami action plan in place. Explaining in extensive detail the main causes of tsunamis at the seminar for business persons in Kingstown, the director of Seismic Research Center highlighted the importance of knowing the warning signs. Dr. Robinson said a volcanic eruption is the second most likely to cause a tsunami, while the others are movement in the Earth's ground floor plates, huge falling asteroids from outer space, volcanic eruptions, and underwater landslides.
Tectonic plates, and these plates move, and when they move, they have the potential to generate large-sized earthquakes. And one of the prime causes for earthquakes and for tsunamis is earthquakes generated from plate tectonics, the movement of these plates. And we look at how it's generated. I'm going to look at each of them in turn. So earthquakes are the primary source, not volcanic eruptions, which is the next thing. The next source is a volcano erupting, either a volcano on land erupting or a volcano under the sea. And I'll show you how the process works. The other source is submarine landslides. You actually have places where you have large landslides happen beneath the ocean, and that again could generate material that pushes the ocean and generate a tsunami. And then you have other less likely sources like asteroids or large fragments of planetary bodies hitting into the Earth.
Advising persons on what to do when a tsunami occurs, Dr. Robinson emphasized the need to get to higher ground. The geologist said that trying to swim with a tsunami is harmful because debris and electrical wires could cause fatality.
The best thing to do is get out of the water. Do not think that you could swim in the water. You're not going to be able to swim. No matter how strong you are, it may be difficult. The water is so dense, it has so much material in it, you probably could almost step on stuff and probably think of it. But swimming is difficult. You're going to get squashed. You're going to have galvanized blocks and trees and cars all mixed up in this. You can't swim. So you need to get to higher ground, either on the top of a building or at the top of a tree or something like that. That's better than staying in the water. After tsunami, you need to stay you need to have some sort of battery up, just like other emergencies. You have to have some sort of battery operated water, because if your coastal areas are affected, and if your power supplies were along these coastal areas, most of us live in islands where the coastal road is where most of the road network and the infrastructure is along the coast, so they might be affected. So your power lines might be affected. You need to have some way of finding out what's the latest information. So you need to have your battery operated radio. Listen to information. You need to help people who might be trapped, who might require special attention. Do not move seriously injured people unless there is an immediate danger, because you could cause them further harm, unless you know first aid.
The awareness drive is part of NEMO's commemoration of the 38th anniversary of the eruption of La Sofia volcano. The education drive continues at several schools throughout the country and culminates with a field trip to La Sofia on Friday the 28th April. The Carnival Development Corporation earlier today held a media conference discussing the activities for Vincimas 2017. At the conference, CDC Chairman Ricardo Adams elaborated on what is in store for the commemoration of the 40th anniversary of the June-July Festival. Nolisha Miller tells us more in this report.
The Carnival Development Corporation, the CDC, is seeking to make Vincimas 2017 quite the experience for locals and visitors alike. During today's media conference, CDC Chairman Ricardo Adams placed the emphasis on the significance of this year's Carnival celebrations, the 40th anniversary of the June-July Festival. Stating that this year's Carnival activities will climax with a massive celebration, Adams is adamant that Ever 4.0 will be the show of all shows.
We had the All-Stars show, and there were a number of people who said, you know what, I really missed the fact that I wasn't able to see Beckett and Soso and Scotch and those guys in all their glory. And we said to them, Evo 4.0. And then we had the Clash of the Bands, and people said, you know, we need to get that Clash of the Bands back into Carnival. We should do it again, and we should bring back the best bands we have and everything like that. And we said to them, Evo 4.0. And we had the reunion of the Roses crew. And we had Fireman and Chainsaw and Rallo and DJ 20 recreating the energy that existed in the third decade. And people in Union Island got to enjoy it, but not so many people from St. Vincent mainland got to enjoy it. And so we said to them, Evo 4.0. And then we have one of the biggest soca acts in the world, multi-platinum recording artist, Skinny Fabulous, who just got off of a camel in Dubai some time ago. He is one of our big modern signature acts. And to see him, I say to people, Evo 4.0. And really, Evo 4.0 is going to encapsulate the best of Vincimas over the last 40 years in a birthday party celebration.
He said it will be a fitting celebration for one of this country's beloved festival.
It is not going to be a show for you to come and sit down on a bench and, you know, clap gently. It is going to be our birthday party. It's our 40th birthday party. And so, in effect, what you would want to have for your 40th birthday party, but with live bands, live performers, steel band, everything happening in the background, mass, everything encapsulated in one. That is our birthday party, and that is Evo 4.0.
And keeping in tune with the mandate for change towards further development, Adam spoke on the staging of the soca semifinals, which is a new addition to the Carnival calendar.
The first event after the Miss SVG is the soca semifinals. That is a new event that we're doing this year, and that event, we've kind of conceptualized that around that being a soca cooler picnic, basically. And the intent is to have that outside of the Victoria Park, so we can have a picnic style setting. It's a cooler fit, and we bring the young emerging soca artists to come on stage and rub shoulders with the established soca artists, because traditionally what has happened is we've judged the soca semi-finals in effect, or the soca preliminaries, using CDs. We think that giving the opportunity to the young artists to come on stage and actually perform and hone their craft gives them exposure, one, gives them experience on stage performing before a big crowd, and gives them the opportunity to perhaps elbow out some of the traditional artists who have made it because they had better quality CD productions, or they had better studio work, or something along those lines.
The CDC chairman encouraged visitors and citizens residing abroad to return home for Vincy Mass. As he said, it is a celebration for all. Nolisha Miller, The Evening News.
The principal, staff, students, both present and past, as well as other well-wishers of the Dr. J.P. Eustace Memorial Secondary School, came together on Monday for a march and rally in commemoration of the institution's 65th anniversary. The rally, held at the Victoria Park, heard speeches from education officials. Past students, including Deputy Prime Minister Sir Louis Straker, who delivered the feature address. There were also numerous cultural performances and tributes. Nikita Tony tells us more in this report.
1952 to 2017, alive at 65. That's the team under which the Dr. J.P. Eustace Memorial Secondary School, formerly the Emmanuel High School, Kingstown, held its 65th anniversary march and rally on Monday, April 24th, as they celebrated the institution's achievement, as well as reflected on the legacy of its founder, the late Dr. J.P. Eustace, deeming the introduction of the institution in 1952 as an important development in the nation's educational landscape. Minister of Education Sinclair Prince outlined that the day's event should not only be seen as a celebration of the significant milestone, but also an acknowledgement of the vision of an excellent nation builder, the late Dr. John P. Eustace.
What we take for granted today as just another school has made a difference in the development of our country and has helped in no small measure to humanize this physical space we call St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The efforts of these committed educators, supplemented by the valuable contributions of parents, guardians, community leaders, residents, as well as your inputs as the current staff, have brought the Dr. J.P. Eustace Memorial Secondary School to this golden moment in its rich history. It is therefore incumbent on the school now, the present school, to do all in its power, to ensure that the legacy of J.P. Eustace remains one critical to the further development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Commending the work and contribution of the institution over the years, Parliamentary Secretary within the Ministry of Education, Deborah Charles, gave a charge to the present students of the school, whom she added would one day be a part of a great legacy.
Begin to think of how your presence can impact positively those around you. How can you help to create an environment in which you feel safe? An environment in which the expected learning outcomes are achieved. An environment in which teachers do not feel it's just another day, but rather an environment in which all stakeholders would be happy to be a part of.
Commenting on her father's honorable contribution to this nation, daughter of the late Dr. J.P. Eustace, Grace Eustace, highlighted that she herself was an early student of the institution.
Intermediate school when he was not even 21 years old. He actually became 21 at the end of the first school year of intermediate school. And in fact, in every decade, from the 20s to the 60s, he started a school in St. Vincent. I would not like to think of what would be the condition of the young people in St. Vincent, and now the older ones, because we've grown through those years, if we had not had Emmanuel High School to provide our education.
Featured speaker at the event and this nation's Deputy Prime Minister Sir Louis Straker, who is also a past student of the Emmanuel High School, Kingstown, praised the work and vision of the school's founder, Dr. J.P. Eustace, whom he said was a prototype of the ruling ULP administration's education revolution. Presenting the school with one of his very own memorabilia of the school, Sir Louis also made a generous donation to his alma mater.
At Emmanuel High School, I wonder what would have become of me and many others like me. The war in 1958, 59 and 1960 from Form 4. I kept it, and I am going to ask the principal to accept this as a donation. Keep it in the school. Madam Principal, I proudly present my blazer to you to keep in the school. I hope it would be an inspiration to the school. I am glad to turn into you this morning a check for $6,500, $100 for each year of its existence. I am happy to give this check, and it has no rubber in it.
Aiming to reflect the vision of its founder, the Dr. J.P. Eustace Memorial Secondary School continues to give life and meaning to its motto, Nisi Emmanuel Fustra, without God we labor in vain. Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
The story of both Emmanuel High Schools and the Intermediate High School is a story that has no equal. That's according to Government Senator Luke Brown, as he spoke on the legacy of the late Dr. J.P. Eustace at Monday's rally held at the Victoria Park. Noting that the foundation which the three secondary institutions here have been built upon is one that cannot be found elsewhere, Senator Brown praised the work of the late Dr. John P. Eustace, who would have opened the door to a secondary education for many underprivileged and talented men and women, such as his father, Theodore Brown. Citing from the 2002 Order of National Heroes Act, the criteria for being given the honorable award, Brown made a plea for the move to have Dr. J.P. Eustace acknowledged as this nation's second national hero.
Who was limited in any narrow way to a particular area. He touched essentially all the fundamental areas of life in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He contributed to our education and development. He contributed to our spiritual development. He contributed to our development in health care. He also contributed to our economic development in that he helped fishermen to find markets for the catch. And I could say as well that if it was not for the giant that we know as Dr. J.P. Eustace, it is unlikely that my father would have had a chance to get a secondary school education. It is unlikely that he would have been able to go on and to become an accomplished lawyer in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The Member of Parliament went on to issue a charge to the present students of the Dr. J.P. Eustace Memorial Secondary School, the Emmanuel High School MESPO, and the Intermediate High School.
I want all of you students today to take a page out of his book and commit yourself to your studies. Commit yourself to being better. Ensure that you pay attention and show respect for your teachers. Do not follow bad company. Keep on the straight and narrow path. Shun evil. Stay away from drugs. Stay away from violence. Stay away from anything that threatens to jeopardize your education and your future. It is not worth it. Let us make sure that we do our part to uphold the reputation of this great school so that it will continue to last, so that it will continue to be around for a long time to come.
Family members as well as persons with disabilities now have the opportunity to have increased mobility in and around SVG, as Access Point Transportation System has begun offering a taxi service designed to fulfill the traveling needs of persons with disabilities. Speaking with SVGTV News, entrepreneur and owner of Access Point Transportation System, Arrington Bergen, explains more about the vehicle and those persons who would most benefit from it.
The vehicle Nissan has a wheelchair ramp that's capable for taking persons with disability, the elderly, persons to go to and from hospital with, we'll say, non-emergency essential personnel. So if you go to the hospital and you're discharged and you're going to do and you finish doing surgery or having a baby or something, it's easy access. Pick you up with the ramp into the vehicle and take you to the closest point to your home as possible. It's also access to carry 2 wheelchairs, one small belly that will take you up, put you in, and hook you from the first one, which is the lift, and take the next vehicle up. And it's used as a regular taxi also, so it can be used any time.
Bergen added that the response from the public to the services his company provides has been heartening, and noted that he will soon be looking to expand his business. The East Caribbean group of companies will be celebrating its 40th anniversary in a special way this year. The company is set to host a series of activities to commemorate the special occasion, including a much-anticipated bake-off competition to be held in Mustique. During a media conference on Monday, the company's marketing manager, Rachel Haslam, explained that over the years, the company has sought to provide a platform that will further develop the culinary arts here, and the bake competition will give persons the opportunity to showcase their baking skills.
It gives us a license to do things differently, a little more elaborately, as we celebrate with the various sectors that have helped us enjoy this longevity. And in this instance, we are celebrating with the baking sector. Prior to this year, ECGC has had 7 competitions. They've been altered slightly over the years, but during this time, the aim has always been the very same, and it is to support the development of persons involved in culinary arts in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We have also developed a tradition of showcasing the winning products in the ECGC calendar, as Mr. Davey mentioned previously. And to commemorate the 40th anniversary, this year we also broke with tradition by including a recipe from a baker in each of the islands that we serve. And I must say it has been very well received.